But yes, sir, Ms. Cruz.
Yes, I have a question for Tracy. And Tracy, you talked about these so-called conservative legislatures in Austin that are actually part of the problem and that are trying to block any progress being made. Number one, why don't make those names public? And why don't we threaten them if they are not doing the job that we hired them to do? They need to understand they work for us. And if they're not doing the job, we need to primary them and throw them out on their ears. We need to make those names public.
I do have a list of the 12 that did not sign on the amendment. I'm happy to share that. I also would tell you that we have a piece of legislation called the SMART Act, and that is helping. It has to do with sexual-oriented businesses. This is started by a father whose child was trafficked. She was groomed for over a year and trafficked in Houston and in one of the nicest neighborhoods for 8 days. He went and rescued her himself, and then from there he's decided to turn his grief and anger into good. And so what they're doing is they're fighting this legislation. Actually finally moved today, but here's the problem. This is something that would hold sexual businesses that employ, at this point the age is 18, sexually oriented businesses, SOB for short. And the SMART Act is what you're doing is standardizing minimum age requirements in Texas. SMART. There were 3 bills, all the same language in the House, 2 bills in the same language in the Senate. What happened in the House is they were put into Dan Huberty's, it was a subcommittee that Dan Huberty was the chairing. He wasn't the committee chair, but the sub. And miraculously, after this last weekend, his bills got kicked out today. So those are now moving forward. In the Senate, you have SB 315 that was voted on this morning. It's moving, and SB 766 has already been put in the House. And you have Omnibus Bill 1036 in the Senate that will have this language attached to it. What I will tell you is this is great, right? We've got a month left, you've got these bills. But you will have a fight in the calendar committee, and you will have a fight, as you know, to get these on the floor and get them passed. What we need you to do, if you so feel called, is to call the Speaker Dade Phelan, Speaker Phelan, I have the information, and you need to tell him that these bills in the House, HB 1655 and HB 3520, need to be passed to protect young women and girls that were being, what's happened real quick, and I'll round this up, is these businesses are employing 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, getting them drunk, and then they're performing in these strip clubs. What the recourse is for that is a slap on the wrist. They were getting a $250 fine. What this bill does, and I gotta tell you, with the legislation that's passed, and that's why this is critical, a lot of the legislation is fluff. I'm sorry, but there's not a lot behind it. There's really good pieces, but you have to work like heck to get them passed in a Republican-run state. And the thing here is, you mess up once, you lose your liquor license for 3 months. You mess up again, you lose it for 6 months. You mess up again, third time, you lose your liquor license permanently. They're out of business. This bill has teeth. We need to get this passed. I know that's not the answer for everything, but this is a part of it. So Speaker Phelan can make this happen. What you have to understand is there are many cogs in this wheel, and I'm happy to let you know, if you want to come talk to me later, where the problems are.
I have a question about the SOB that you're talking about. So in Fort Worth, did you know that there's a committee that is dedicated to reversing the denials of these SOBs? So that you have the sexually oriented businesses, there's a committee in Fort Worth that's been set up to approve, essentially. It's a court of appeals. So those SOBs that have been denied for certain reasons are now approved through this committee. Why is that?
So that's a city mandate subcommittee versus a state house committee legislation
Right.
you're talking about?
I'm asking Fort Worth.
Okay, so for Fort Worth.
I understand.
I don't actually work, I don't work in that, so I can't speak to that. Yes, sir.
We have a question over here, Brad.
I know, but I have to just, look, we're all together. I have to just back you up for a second, okay?
yes.
I want to back you up
Thank
for a
you.
second, okay? Guys, I am fire, okay? And we have a show just calling, he said, I want to meet with all of you, okay? I want to meet with you, but I want to just drop a little nugget to you, okay? This is a warrior and a champion,
yes.
but I want you to hear something from me. We need that, we need you, we need her. But here's a reality, and this is where you can help. Hannah, this is where you can help these guys. This is where you can help us. Do you know that we only have 1,200 licensed, and I serve on 9 anti-trafficking boards, Traffic 911, Treasure Vessels is incredible, okay?
They're a partner of ours.
I know, they're all amazing. I'm on the boards there, but listen to me. We only have 1,200 licensed beds, licensed meaning licensed therapist, okay? Trauma-informed therapy. There's only 1,200 beds for minors in the country.
Yeah, that's right.
In the country,
Yeah.
okay? So hear me today. There's only 300 beds in our access group. So if we go rescue 500 girls, or the 300 girls that's on Dallas streets tonight, there is literally nowhere to take them.
Yeah.
Hear me what I'm saying. They're gonna go to juvie, they can keep them 72 hours, they'll be back out on the street. And the illusion, my sister was trafficked for 6 years. The illusion that you can get a girl that's raped on average 5 times a day, and you just send her home and say, now go have a good life. It's disastrous. The work that goes into restoring lives is so critical, and this is where the public has to step up.
Yes.
This is where we have to go to the legislators and say, hey, why is it more difficult to open a safe home for children in the state of Texas than to get a hospital license?
Yes.
Right? So I hear you, but if you boys go tonight and you rescue 100 kids,
Where are you gonna put 'em?
we got nowhere to take them.
Yep.
And you can say, I'll take them. You can't, by law, you can't take them. You can't. So law enforcement at times have the same intel you have, I promise you, and more. Deliver fund. And they literally have nowhere to take the child. Do you know how many of the children that are recovered and helped end up back on the street? But you got to help law enforcement. She's not a politician.
So real quick, legislation. That's what it is. Is that you have to call your state house, or you have to call your congressman or Cruz and stuff like that to tie it into an ability for them to be able to access the information. What he's saying, and 300 beds, not enough beds. We have to say, hey, our tax dollars need to go to rehabilitating this as opposed to going to defunding things.
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer. Simple and done.